Dr. Rocky, you're here.
In the chair.
In the chair.
The infamous, the famous.
In the chair.
I've seen so many people sit here. It's kind of an honor to sit here.
Well, I think that, first of all, these are my new chairs.
Oh, I'm the first? Am I the first?
One of the first.
One of the first. I'll take
that. I have interviewed your wife. She sat in the chair.
Okay.
And I've interviewed a therapist today. So she sat in the chair. But I'm just honored to have you here and be all who you have been and still are. First of all, why run now? Why? What was missing from the council, if that's the proper term, you correct me if I'm wrong, that you needed to add your voice or your leadership style?
I think that's a great question. And it's not necessarily a question of why now, it's why not. I can tell you that. And this just didn't spur from a single event or necessary to feel something that's missing.
Sure.
It's more of knowing that you can contribute something and then having the courage, fortitude to move forward, to offer that voice. And the climb to offer one's voice is something that undertaking I don't take lightly.
Got it.
And if there was more energy to not do it, I probably wouldn't be here. But when you have the urge, you have the energy, and you have the expertise, it's only proper that one move forward and offer their voice and their service to the community. I tell you one thing, when I was in the military, that was preached to us often, that when you can contribute something, when you can do something, then do it.
Right.
We teach our young people, young business people, that if they have something in them to share, that they move forward. So this is yet another space where one is moving forward to offer their service and themselves to their community.
Well, I think it almost, I honestly thought you were already on the council. I mean, I thought you were already on the decision-making of Columbus, Georgia, because you're always in something. You're always either a part of something or you're on a board. So you are already active in the community as if you were one.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that's noticed, because that really should be the requirement. It really should be the expectations that when we look at possible leadership, that we're not looking at them for the first time, that we should be somewhat familiar with who they are, what they stand for, and what their works are, because based upon their past works could be a great indicator of their future works.
Yeah. Well, so you are a veteran.
I am.
And you have a doctorate in what?
Doctor of Education.
Doctor of Education. Yes. Come on, you smart, man. You so
well,
smart.
Listen, so I'm a retired veteran. So yes, I served, but I served a good bit of time. Just be specific. 20 years, 20 days, 9 hours, 15 minutes, and 11 seconds. I wasn't counting, but I looked at my watch across the station. I share that story often because it's important to not just I serve, but the time that I serve is important to me, and it was important to the people in this country that I served it for.
And you the only one in your family that have served this country, or you?
To my knowledge, yes, it is.
You're the only one in your family?
The only one.
No one, not a grandfather.
So I had an uncle that married into the family.
Okay.
He lived down the street from me, and he was a great inspiration. He was one of the reasons, one of the influencers why I went into the military, because not because he was in the military, because of the person that he was. And I knew that was something that I wanted to be somewhat like. So Uncle Shelton, I say thank you. He wasn't
Uncle
the only
Shelton.
one, but Uncle Shelton, I say thank you.
Wow. Tell me, so you said that you're running because, well, you said why not? Why not run?
Correct.
And I guess there are some people that probably know your face but don't know who you are. So if you had to describe yourself in one word, how would you describe yourself?
I don't have one word, but I give you 4 words.
Please, okay. Go ahead.
jack of all trades.
Okay.
To survive, thrive, and move through this world, you have to be multifaceted in the number of disciplines. And during my time in the military, you have to learn how to do many things, not just the job that you're assigned or you get trained to do, but as you matriculate through the ranks, different positions, you have to become acclimated to a number of other things in order to be an asset to your brothers and sisters in uniform, your left and right, your unit. And so because of that, not only was I air traffic controller in the military, not only was I a first sergeant in the military.
Come on, you the first.
Not only was I a medical travel agent or travel specialist for my brothers and sisters who had to go TDY.
Come on.
But you had to learn a number of disciplines in order to be of the best service for the unit.
What's lacking in Columbus now?
Lacking, I wouldn't say lacking. What I would offer is there are some areas that I would strongly put a lot of attention to.
Like what?
And there are two specific ones. Pay disparity and talent retention. The two are intertwined, but in different sectors. One thing I like to offer is that a lot of young people, when they graduate high school or when they graduate college, they look for opportunities outside of Columbus. And one thing I would love to do is attract more young talent and retain more young talent in Columbus. But the reason why they're leaving, that I asked them and that they return, is pay disparity. That they feel like, and that's an important distinction. They feel like they can get paid more, earn more by moving outside of Columbus. So if I want to put my finger on two items, those are two things that I would love to be at a table and discuss ways to make people feel like they can earn more, but actually provide ways for them to earn more while they're here in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, sure. I definitely see a lot of young people take their talents and their creative ability to create things somewhere else rather than build here. And I myself have thought about moving, but I just love where I am. You know what I mean?
And I do. And we want more young people like yourself that want to be here. We want them to want that.
Yeah.
And so you have to give them reasons. You have to talk to people.
Yeah.
And what is it that keeps them here? What is it that keeps them happy?
Yeah.
And then we have to work together hard to provide that things.
Yeah, but I think that one of the problem is that it's easy for someone like you, one person, to hear them, but they often just don't feel unheard but unseen. You know what I mean?
I hear that all the time. As I go throughout the city from district to district, just as you were saying, at different events, different function, different anything, people sometimes are venting, not because they're necessarily upset, but they feel like when they've aired it before, they shared it before, they wasn't seen or heard. Yeah. And so I take a little extra time when I talk to people just to make sure that I understand where they're coming from and try to relate to them. Oftentimes I do, but when I don't, I take a little extra time to see if I can understand where they're coming from in their perspective.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about leadership because when you take this seat, you will be responsible in so many ways for a lot of things for that particular district. But which means you will be a leader to a lot of people. How important is leadership and why does it matter?
Well, let me tell you why it matters. This seat, this position, this elected position is a citywide position that's responsible for representing the voices of 200,000+ constituents, people who reside in Columbus, Georgia, Muskogee County, whether they were homegrown, whether they are transplant, moved here through the military, or whether they're just transient and they're living here for a while. It's important for leadership for more citizen residents to be engaged in this process and for their leadership to reflect those wishes, those desires of their representation of their whether they are homegrown, whether they are transit, or whether they are transplant.
Yeah. But what do you say to voters who say, he's just going to be another person in the office that hypes us up to get in there, and then he gets in there and does nothing? What do you say to voters who say that?
You're going to have to keep showing up, and you're going to have to show people differently. I think people are they see that too often, but you have to show them different. I tell you what, President Obama.
Come on.
Okay.
Our brother.
He struggled with that.
Yeah.
And now it don't matter. He could just show up at a Family Dollar and everybody like, oh, you know. However, that wasn't the same heartfelt when he started off early.
Sure.
So I say to your question is, show up for them, earn their trust, but then continue to show them the same things that you've been doing before. So the things that I've done before, showing up, being an active asset wherever I can, and then continue. That's exactly what I plan to do.
Sure.
Be exactly what I've talked about and what I've done, and just continue to do that.
Tell me about who you were like when you were young.
Oh wow,
Like
that's a question.
Were you mischievous, or were you funny, or were you a rule follower? What kind of young man were you?
Such a loaded question, but I can tell you I was all of the above.
And from where? Where are you from?
I'm from Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile. Come on, Mobile.
Yeah, the original birthplace of Mardi Gras, regardless of whatever some of your Louisiana viewers might think. We tend to play cousins. We fight about that.
Okay.
But growing up, I was all of those things. I played all the sports. I played soccer. I was on the swim team. I played defense in football.
Come on, you
I was
did a
on
little bit of
basketball.
everything.
Had to. When you are young and you have the energy and the talent, you try everything. I had a personality. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. We're all step. I'm 49. My brother's, 49, 48, 47, 46. We are step.
Oh my!
So I had the double-edged sword. I had to be the oldest, but we all about the same age anyway. But all those things, I enjoy being outside. I enjoy playing. I was good at coming up with things.
We used to go outside and like make up stuff to do.
Okay.
Did you
make up the games?
No. Well, we didn't have no games to play. We just used to play tag or
okay.
Did that? We used to. This is crazy. We used to put tape cardboard to the back of our bikes.
Okay.
Because they sound like motorcycles.
Then make it and get it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Well, everybody did that.
Did y'all do that too?
Listen, we did that. We even had the old mattress. So on Saturday mornings when cartoon go off, wrestling came on.
Oh.
So after wrestling went off, all the kids would go outside and they had a mattress. Somebody a random mattress. Now, if some of your viewers now, if you see your kids jumping on the old mattress, please get them. But
please get them down.
We would use the mattress as an imaginary mat,
and we
practice all the moves. So growing up, you had to learn how to be tough because I was not a big kid. So if you didn't learn how to use your strength and muscles, you was gonna get handled. Yeah. So I had to learn how to.
So you did a lot of handling.
I did a lot of learning. How about that? A lot of learning.
Okay. Okay. You talked earlier about the young people and staying in this community, and also leading other businesses and helping them and all that thing. Tell me, what does a community look like when they help small businesses? Because I think that's one of the biggest needs is that everybody wants to start a business, but they don't know how to. And then they also blame the community because they're not supporting them.
I've heard this so many times.
Yes. Let's dig into that. As someone who's running to make change, how would you change that? How would you change the relationship between the community and small businesses?
So the first thing is we're going to have to come back and do this part 2.
Come on,
and just focus on this, okay?
Please.
Election or not, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about business.
Okay, come on.
But let me give you part 1 right now. So part 1 is, I mentioned that my doctoral is in education. Information. Delivery is one of my biggest things. So one thing I worked with as the vice president of the River Valley Black Chamber of Commerce, I came up with a new business owner week. We used it to coincide with new members joining the chamber, But I saw an opportunity to, as an education platform for those newer business owners who may not have the access to the information and resources of what it takes, not only to start their business, but how to construct and build their business. So we created a whole week where they would get information on how to be a contractor with the city, how to fill out your business license. Because one thing we learned from the ARP from the city after COVID, a lot of people were not structured or had a Muskogee County business license. They had one from the state, but they didn't have one from the county, which held up them being eligible for funds needed for their business.
Wow.
So to answer your question, I would forge a more educated, informal channel to reach our smaller business so that we can create smaller business. When you have more businesses, they put out money into the economy for which we all benefit.
Really?
So I would do as best I can to educate more of those entrepreneurs who have those entrepreneur dreams or wishes, or if they're an existing business owner.
It sounds good to hear, but sometimes hard to do, especially when you're like the only one trying to make change. So I hope that when you sit in this seat that you do exactly what you say, but you also bring other people to help you too. You know what I mean? Because I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when people run or they support people who are running. They assume that they have all the strings, and they don't. They need support.
Well, one thing I'll tell you is that campaign is different than serving in the seat. And one thing I've learned from leadership over my 20 years of military is one thing when you're not in the seat, but when you get in the seat of position, you see it from a different perspective.
True.
But I take what you say. One thing is to continue to try to do the things that you said you want to.
Yeah. Campaigning can be very demanding. And building something from the ground up can be very time consuming. How do you, wearing all the other hats that you wear, how do you stay motivated and how do you keep yourself grounded?
Very easy. Well, the first thing that keeps me grounded is someone you've already spoken to. And we share the same last name. And I'll tell you that I could not do this without her, without her support, without her reassurance. And knowing that you have that makes it easier to focus on the other things.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the energy or whatever it takes to do it, the need, the desire, the accomplishment is too great to ignore. Being able, once you see something that you feel like you can contribute to, once that desire becomes too much or too more than the desire to not do it, then it's an easy decision.
Yeah, sure.
And when you're doing it because you're moved and motivated, not just motivated, but when it's a calling, it's not work. When I get home at the end of the day, I may have attended 6 events. I might have traded phone numbers with 4 people. I might have had 10 phone calls, 10 conversations, 20 text messages, 10 emails. But when you all do it for one reason, to help somebody, it's not draining at the end of the day.
Sure.
You might be tired. Your body might be tired. But if your spirit is, you're in the right place doing it for that reason, it's not work. And then, you know what? I wake up the next day and I do it all over again.
Do it again.
Do it again.
What kind of future are you asking the people of Columbus to believe in with you?
I want Columbus to believe they can have and achieve more.
What do you mean?
They can have the things they desired, but people have to work together. I have to work with other counselors. Community leaders are going to have to work with each other.
Right.
Department heads are going to have to work with the community.
Right.
It's a collaborative approach.
Mission, yeah.
One that cannot be accomplished with just one person and one election. The goal is to inspire in people that the things that they want their city to have, it can have it. I'll say this one thing, though. As the city continues to grow, as the city continues to expand, the one thing I would want is to not leave people behind. Because the city is doing a great job. It really is. For everything, the city is doing a good thing. The challenge is that everyone is not experiencing that at the same
time. Yeah.
The same rate. So I would want to work hard to make sure that we go back and we grab all those people and do what we can so that they can share what the greatness, amazingness, as we like to say, amazing of Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, yeah. And so I know we like to be optimistic, but let's just say it doesn't happen. Let's just say I know we can dream.
We can do both at the same time.
We can do both at the same time.
Okay.
But what is your call to action then? You're still going to serve, or you're going to run again, or you're going to run somewhere else? So what is Dr. Rocky's next move if that doesn't happen?
So I'll share with you what I shared with constituents during my first election cycle.
Okay.
Is that I promised and vowed to do the same things that I was doing before I decided to be a candidate.
Right.
Before I was a candidate, I was just as active.
Right.
Before I was a candidate, I registered people to vote. Right. I canvassed neighborhoods, knocked on doors,
right.
encouraged them to vote because I want people to know and feel that their voice and their vote matters. So whatever I do past May the 19th, it will include those same things.
I believe it. Thank you, Doctor, for joining me.
Thank you.
Brought to you by MSW Productions.